Alright, let me set the scene for you. You're a little 13-year-old Sam on a chilly October night. It's dark out, but it's not late yet. All your homework is done, and you're up to date on all your piano practice. So, you're enjoying some shiny hunting on Pokemon Moon while having some YouTube play in the background. Shiny hunting is pretty repetitive, so you're just enjoying the vibes and some videos alone since your sister's at a birthday party or something. And as your current video ends, you scroll down through the sidebar to see what to watch next, and you see this thumbnail. And for some reason, this art really draws you in. The characters look really cute and cool, and they're holding instruments. And you like instruments. So you, an unsuspecting little Sam, click on this video. You don't even have to sit through an ad first. It just plays for you. And this was the moment your life would change forever. Because as soon as you click, you're greeted with And after just a moment of this magic, this sorcery, you need to just close your 3DS and watch in awe at the rest of this 10-minute video. This was the moment I was first introduced to Touhou music and the rest of the series that followed. And I really love Touhou, but what I love most about it is how it helped me become not just the music composer I am today, but a music composer at all. Once I had finished up this video, I immediately rushed downstairs to our family computer to download this thing onto my MP3 player. This was all happening at the end of 2017-ish, so I had my own cell phone, but I really like retro novelties, so I was still using my childhood MP3 player, and I still use it every day to this day. And let me tell you, I had this magical suite on loop infinitely. This suite being that of Touhou 8 Imperishable Night by the Kokyo Active Neats. I vividly remember this track illuminating up my experiences, walking to school, riding the bus, doing schoolwork, all the like. I also clearly recall being in metalwork class, reading my dad's sci-fi novels because I don't care about metalwork. And this track, despite having it on all day, just made what I was reading come to life even more. You know when you listen to a song on loop a bunch, you start to resonate and you can kind of feel what parts are about to happen? Well, for this suite, it just felt so fresh every time, and the magic of it just never faded. My point is, I was obsessed with this suite. I soon downloaded the rest of the channel's works and all the other Touhou games and quickly became an extremely avid fan of the whole series. For little Sam, Touhou was just something so interesting and different to me. And its music, the originals from the games, as well as all the remixes and orchestral remixes out there, felt the same. It was just a really interesting take on music, which was something I understood from years of studying piano. What amazed me was how it was boss music, but it presented itself not as big and foreboding, but just with so much personality and color. There's also so much variety, while all still sounding uniform and belonging with each other. Around the same time I started listening to the first suite, I also found this video with a whole bunch of Touhou 8 orchestral themes together in one video, as well as this perfect piano cover of Touhou 8's Voyage 1969, which was the opening track in the first suite. These two videos shared the same magic as the first, and to this day, I listen to them all the time, and they live forever safe in my downloaded music. I also come back to them all the time when I need inspiration. This one with all the themes is about 40-ish minutes long, and I downloaded the whole thing to listen to it in the same order every time. It's so important to me that I time its runtime with things while I listen. For example, back in 2019, I was on a flight to visit some of my best friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. This was an important thing for me, and this was special music. So, 40 minutes before I landed, I played this music so I could enjoy it as I was landing. That may sound really odd, but these themes are just that special to me. with that initial Voyage 1969 being my all-time favorite. Because of all this sentimentality and discovery, Touhou and its music is so exciting to me, as well as very cozy. I just love it. I also love that everybody on the internet has seen Touhou before, but most have no idea what it actually is. Whether it be through Bad Apple, The Night of Nights, or UNON memes, or those little chibi heads, everyone has secretly encountered Touhou somewhere on the internet. And that just adds another layer of appeal to it for me. When I'm asked about my favorite anime, it's Touhou. And it's not even an anime. It's just the best damn series of all time, in my opinion. Okay, so cool. So how does that affect my music? Music was always something I did as a hobby and never considered for a career. However, when I flew back from visiting my friends back in 2019, I remember telling myself, a year from now, I want to write my very own song. This was something I had always fantasized about growing up, but it was my precious Touhou music that inspired me to actually try it. That original video is what sold me, but I had an extra push during my trip back then, because that's when I discovered Touhou also had its own original CD collection. And guess what track had a remix in my favorite album? So now, extra motivated. I just had to write something. But I really struggled. I spent weeks and weeks playing super basic melodies in C major with my right hand and simple triads in my left. I was starting super simple and had a big focus on trying to write it on paper too. But I just wasn't resonating with it. And I could tell neither was anyone else I'd show it to. It just felt so forced. I really can't emphasize enough just how much of a hard time I was having. Everything I came up with just sounded like a stupid exercise or something from my theory books, like corny and blah. I thought maybe it was because I was in C major, which I was doing because I thought it would be a good starting point. It was just really frustrating. Especially so because I had years of practice behind me, and what I believed to be enough knowledge in music to get at least something going. I remember watching those super cool videos of people doing jazz solos that they would improvise on, and just wishing with my whole heart that that could be me. So I set composing aside for a little bit. It's not like I wasn't doing tons of other music-related things. I had weekly piano lessons and I'd practice for them every day. I was the sole percussionist in my school's concert and jazz band, so I was definitely still doing lots of music, while trying to compose on and off. But a little later, while we were all in lockdown, I was thinking about composing again. Like a lot. I was doing my piano lessons over Zoom at this point with my teacher, pointing my iPad at the piano. And one evening, after our call, but before dinner, I was sitting at the keys once again. This was just over 10 months after I had told myself I wanted to write one song. I was really thinking about it a lot. I just really wanted to be able to compose. Like, really bad. Growing up, I'd always imagined myself as the composer or conductor to the stuff I was listening to. It would be like a superpower if I could just make something cool. The entire time, I wasn't actively attempting composition. I was researching it and watching videos and all the like. But what I later puzzled out was just how much I was thinking about it too much. So you want to know what I did? I placed my phone on my sheet stand, and I played my favorite suite, Touhou 8 Imperishable Night. I just watched the musicians and started thinking. Then I looked up some piano tutorials of some of the songs in it to see what the keys were. I somehow ended up trying to groove on F minor. I just thought of how I liked this Touhou music. I pictured colors and vibes in my head, and just let my hands do whatever automatically. I stopped thinking about chord movements and just let my left hand play simple arpeggios and octaves. Even if it was repetitive, I just needed a boost. And then, all of a sudden, what? I couldn't believe it. With Touhou as my inspiration and just turning my brain off, I suddenly had a whole song. A song with different parts and moods. I was totally starstruck. It was like all my experience with music had already gotten me what I needed, but I just needed like that last little push. It was like the music was already in me, you know? My family called me for dinner soon after, which I remember just scarfing down as fast as possible so I could get back to the piano. In the 10 months of trying since I had made that little promise to myself, I had nothing. But then, suddenly, I had one whole song in like 15 minutes. And then a week later, I had 25 completed songs. Safe to say, I didn't practice any of my repertoire that week. But I had a whole spectacle to share with my piano teacher over Zoom. This was before I was writing for orchestra, so these were all just on my humble piano, and I just had to remember them all in my head. And then a year-ish later, with the help of my folks, I used some of my savings to buy my current keyboard and my first DAW Reaper to start fully realizing my music through orchestration. I had no idea how to do any of that. But at this point, it didn't matter to me because I had gone from this super calculated musician to a carefree, go-with-the-vibes composer. Which is honestly hilarious to me because that's pretty much the mentality of Touhou's sole composer and creator, Zun. And just days later, this little YouTube channel, which was full of my piano videos, was now flooded with orchestrations. And how did I know what instruments to play what parts? Well, it once again helped me that I knew the orchestra pretty well from playing in bands and stuff, but I literally popped my Touhou videos back on and just listened to what they did. So my love for this game series, its music, and all of its awesome fan works literally made me into a composer, and soon later, a composer who went to post-secondary to study it and the rest of the audio world professionally. By then, my ability to just dial in and improvise was at something of a industry standard, which helped me convince myself that music was something worth pursuing since it had always just been a hobby for me before. But isn't that cool? Touhou music sure is something, and thanks to it, so is my own music, because it exists. So that's why you'll notice a lot of my tutorial style videos are very laid back, and I say stuff like, play around with it, improvise, have fun with the vibe. I of course talk about some technical stuff because I think it's very interesting and very important, but I think too much intense info may scare you off from creating, even if subconsciously. However, I can also seriously understand those who just want that technical formula and can't do anything useful with just have fun. Trust me, I get it. I wanted that perfect cheat code before too. I remember when watching videos for help before, being really annoyed that they were either super busy with Roman numerals and theory, which I understood, don't get me wrong, it was just too much for me to get started. That, or they were just people playing around with no explanation. So I really try my best to find a balance for my own stuff. But now, with a lot more composing experience over the years, I'd honestly say having your own Touhou, or whatever thing inspires you, is the cheat code. The Konami code. And whenever I write now, I still find myself coming back to Touhou all the time for inspiration. Official and fan works alike. Often it's the music, but I also really love and enjoy all the art and the games and fan-made animations and all kinds of stuff. Just really gets me in a cool mood. But especially those handful of videos. When people say my music reminds them of Touhou or really any other series I like, it feels so cool because I like them a lot and they really do keep me so inspired to write stuff. And through them, I also kind of found my own style in writing, which now people tell me they can hear when I write for their projects. But you've no doubtably noticed I've been writing some music in the background here that I haven't really said anything about. I haven't even played you any clips to show you how it's going. So what am I cooking here? Well, this video is a little more like a story and, well, like how cinematic and cool would it be if I made my own remix of the song that started it all for me. You know, my precious Touhou 8, Voyage 1969. And there it is. That's how Touhou music helped me compose my own music. If you've got your own series or game that inspires you to that level, hold on to it, because you never know, right? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a different style, but it was really fun to make, and of course, I was listening to my wonderful Touhou tunes the whole time working on it. So, it already feels kind of nostalgic. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!